Hey everybody. So yeah, hopefully this is the last time I say the word routing in these videos about well, this is the last video that I say routing in these videos about this voice analyzer. I suspect we'll go on more rabbit go down more rabbit holes because that kind of like is really more than anything like learning the voice analyzation API and integrating it with Angular is a very good thing, and one day in the future, obviously, like if if society and everything moves forward the way we think it's going to move forward, the way I think and most people think it's going to go move forward, all web pages will be able to listen to you, and you'll be able to be like, just say what you want to say instead of having to click around. Obviously that's I think that is the obvious arc that we're on. Right now we're clicking around and we're just kind of like it's very primitive, and one day we'll just be like saying what we want it to do, and the browser will just do what we want. That's just the reality. But it's a long time, and it's a long time for a lot of reasons, and I'm not even going to be I can't even begin to tell you what those reasons are, but it's going to be a long time. So we might as well just go down rabbit holes on the way there. It's someplace we need to be. Eventually, we need to be there, but there's no reason not to sort of take every little weird detour on the way because, it's kind of like, I guess, if you knew one day California, you lived in the East and you knew one day that California would, is going to be, you live like in Georgia or South Carolina or something, and one day California is going to be like very very great place to live. And then you're like, okay, I need to start moving over. There's no reason to hurry because it's probably going to be 20 or 30 years before California is a great place to live. So you might as well enjoy seeing all the sights on the way because there's no advantage to getting there earlier. It's the same way with this voice stuff. Who the heck knows how? Like one thing that that I think about all the time is that early on, like in the like 97 or 98, I remember I had gotten this task where they wanted in the text box, like if the text was the wrong word, right? Like if if you had a text box in the and it was a misspelled word, they wanted it to be read and underlined. And but if it was properly, then they wanted it to not be read and underlined. And it was like, oh my God, like just trying to figure out how to underline a single word inside of a text area was just like blowing my mind. I remember and I just kind of pushed it off. And then, like, literally a month later, a new version of, I think it was Netscape Navigator at the time, or possibly it might have been an early Internet Explorer or something, came out, and it just worked in there. Like I didn't have to write any code. And then I remember, like, I'm sitting in a meeting and like the VP was just like, "Damn, Marty, that was amazing that you got that working inside the browser." Like, if anybody ever questions how good of a developer you are, I know that you're amazing because you got the spelling. I don't even know how you possibly got that done. And I was just kind of like, ah, shit, because there's like 25 people sitting there staring at me. I did not want to be like, hey, look, VP, a new version of whatever the browser came out. I didn't do anything about it. Why don't you get a clue about technology? Like I was just there was no way I could deal with that and not take credit and like be humble and then not make my boss's boss look like a moron. There was just like, I was just kind of stuck. So I just nodded and acted like, whatever, gave a very neutral response. So we don't know how this all voice stuff is going to play out. We don't know if there's going to be like a special word like that you say, how you say Siri, but you might say, you know, uh, localhost, Maybe you say the browser, the URL name, and then now the it's built in. The API just knows, oh, okay, I'm supposed to open up this API and stuff like that. We have no idea right now. We can set the way voice recognition works to continuous and true or false. And if it's continuous, then it kind of goes until you do something to shut it down. And by you is the developer and the human interface. Like you set something up that maybe a button click or maybe a specific word or something that turns the listening off. And then we have it not set to true, continuous set to false. And if continuous set to false, then it listens for one thing and then it turns itself off. Like that whole thing could not even, that whole concept might not even be a thing. So, that's my thing. So, but we are through routing. I think it was a good thing to do. And now we are to, who knows? Who knows what the next step is? I suspect the next step would be logging, right? Because we got discrete recording done, right? So you can go like this. You can click the button, hello, and then it does it. It does the whole thing. That's all we really want. But it should be rendering logs as well during that time. So it seems like the next natural thing is to try to build out this logs link. And so that would be cool. And what would be really cool is as logs are created, you can have like a little number there that, or maybe right there in parentheses, that has the number of logs that have been generated. Because I like that idea. I like that idea of like clicking this and then seeing this number um, happening, and all that. Like I like that instant feedback, and then I like the idea then of going over here and sort of parsing through the logs, searching through the logs for specific things, filtering, that kind of thing. I think in the non-Angular version, what we had was like where you could turn on and turn off different hooks, the event hooks. You could be like, oh, okay, I want you to listen to these 5 hooks and all that, and that was pretty cool. But it is a bit like too techy, Like, I mean, why should a person have to turn on and off hooks? They should just be able to look at the hooks that they care about, and all that. They should have to be like, okay, these are the 5 hooks I care about, and now hit the button. Oh wait, shit, I wanted this 6th hook. It'd be better to say, oh, I want to listen to these hooks. Oh, okay, I have all the hooks. Okay, just show me these. Oh wait, no, I'd also like to see that other one, and not have to re-record to see what happened with that other one. Um, so, and that's something, a lesson I learned over there. And honestly, that's the kind of thing that is probably a little bit more difficult to implement in pure JavaScript. There's a certain point where like getting an application built in a framework is like 100 times harder than doing it in JavaScript. But then there's a certain level that you get to where like trying to do that without a framework is really really hard. For example, um, the getting this working just right with the all the different components operating and all that would be extraordinarily difficult and it would be worth doing. Like if you are coming up and you're young and you want to build your own routing and kind of just build it all yourself and try to get it all working. You're probably never going to get it to work as smooth as this bad boy works, but you will learn a lot, and it's definitely worth doing. But anyways, so the first step, I guess, is to kind of see what we have. It's been a while, and it looks like what I have is a record action handler. So let's go ahead and just double click, or so this is like a method called record, and I suspect that it's tied to this button in some way, and then it starts the recognition, and then it sets this handler, the on result handler, and it sets the recognition on end handler, and it sets the audio start. So I'm guessing if I, yeah, so we got publish result, hello, publish end. So I see a problem right off the bat with the code that I wrote there, or I think I see a problem. And I think the problem I see is that I'm setting these handlers over and over again. I probably should only set them once. I probably shouldn't set them after the start, right? Like these handlers are you saying, hey, in the future, whenever we get a result, do this. In the future, whenever we get an end, do that. In the future, whenever we get a start, do this. And the way this is set up, I don't know. It's okay because it is like just overriding. So I don't think we would have multiple results. So like if I do it again, I don't think I'll get twice. Let's see. Hi. Right. So we only got it once. Right. Publish result hi and publish end. But I think if we were to, like right here, we say console.log set up handlers. What will happen is we will end up seeing that we're setting up the handlers multiple times. And that's really probably not a good idea. Not a good idea. And then, man, that's pretty cool, right? And then let's try it again. Again, really? See, the setup handlers is being called again. And I don't think we need to do that. So I think what we can do instead is in this constructor. And so, okay, so what I'm about to do can be very problematic a lot of times if you're dealing with life cycles within Angular. And that's because when you're dealing with life cycles in Angular, the things that you might be setting up handlers for may not exist. But since this is right in the browser's API, we know that if it exists, it exists. So we can say, I believe it right in the constructor, we can say if this dot recognition. I never know like whether it's kind of weird how it doesn't. Did I misspell that? It's kind of weird. This has any type. I wonder if I could just say recognition. I don't think so though. Sometimes you don't. I said it was any, and it's upset because it doesn't like the fact that. See, in this case, well, no matter what, it looks like we set it, right? So I don't. Oh, because I'm outside of the constructor. Okay, now I'm not outside of the constructor. Oh yes, I am. Silly rabbit. Okay, so if this dot recognition, I believe I can just set these handlers up here. So I don't have to wait to the record. Now, a lot of times waiting to the, like if I'm doing Angular specific stuff that's not on the API, a lot of times, okay, I do not know what your problem is, dude. It looks like I took too much. You take too much. You've gone too far. A lot of times when I'm doing Angular, I will kind of as a cheat sort of set up handlers inside of the first call and kind of set like maybe a variable at the top that says initialize or not initialize and only do it if it's not initialized. And that's because I know that everything exists. If they click the button exists, right? Like I can be confident that the page has drawn out if the user has interacted with the page. Um, so a lot of times that's just a good way instead of having to try to connect to a lifecycle hook or something to deal with something like that. So I believe I can do this. So we're only setting it up once, the result, the end, and all that. And and basically, so yeah, let's just see if that works. I think it's gonna work. So we set up the handlers. Okay, didn't. Oh, that's weird. Maybe. Hello. Okay, let's start from scratch again. Hello. Okay, so yeah, I didn't talk. I guess I clicked the button and didn't talk. Um, so then, yeah, everything broke. Um, but anyways, so I believe I can do it again now. Hi. Yeah, see, the handlers are not being set up more than one time. There's no reason to set them up over and over again. Okay, so why? Okay, so this, if you're following along and you're doing something different, you're doing it in like not for like interacting with the API, or let's say you're not doing signals. You're doing like you're just setting like state variables, like you're working directly in the component, and you're just setting variables and it's not updated on the screen. The reason that that is going to be trickier to get to work, and you're probably going to have to call like you're probably going to have to use the one of those calls to tell it to recalculate the screen. I can never remember what they are, but is because um, anything that you do in these APIs, like anything that happens in these calls, these sort of events are what's known as outside of the zone. And I feel like for me, since I started on HTML, like my very first thing I ever worked on was HTML, and then I moved to JavaScript and HTML, and then I moved to JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So since I don't think most developers start that way today. I think the way most developers start is from JavaScript. So they might be working in Node or something like that. Um, or maybe or some framework like this or something that does all the HTML for them. And then um, the word zone threw me off because the word zone for me, it was like whenever they would say zone, I was thinking, oh, it starts here and ends here, like this UI zone. That I thought that it was sort of dividing up things, and as things happened inside these different HTML divs and inside the components themselves, like physical is not the right word, but these things that you can see on the screen, um, when that's what I thought the zones were. But the zones are contexts. And I really wish they'd have named it context.js instead of zone.js, and then said it's happening outside the context. Um, so these things happen outside of the Angular context. And Zone.js is a really, really just like the guy that thought of that stuff was just really thinking outside the box and found out a really clever way to engineer it, like a very clever way of being able to write code that would expand the context of a call. But sometimes, and then Angular integrated that into Angular, and then as versions of Angular got went along, they filled in more and more edge cases. But like one of the edge cases that's very very difficult and to fill in would be something like this, something that's just straight on the browser API, like how you pull that into the context of any activities is hard. So then you have to tell it, okay, I'm resetting a value, and then and then I want you to recalculate everything to redraw it. But and I think that was the driving factor behind um, signals. And so this voice result is a signal. And so when the signal gets published, which is what set does, I really wish they'd have named that publish, but set publishes a signal. Anything that is listening for that change hears it, is then executed. And that stuff is in your effect. So it's probably in here. There's probably something that, yeah, I see I have this effect that says, hey, anytime there's a voice result, update this result. So it doesn't matter if it happens outside of the zone or the context because it happens in because with this new thing that they've implemented, it doesn't care about the zone. It doesn't care about the context. It cares about that something has changed the state, and the state change, and that state change was published, and it's listening for publishes. And I don't even know what that really is. Like that's how you say it in English. Like there's an English way of saying it. It probably isn't even vaguely related to the way that it's written in code, right? This is decoupled, sort of the English way of writing this stuff in composing your code, and the way the code interacts with the browser. Um, so, like my very first professional job, I wrote requirements, and we wrote all these requirements that described exactly how this computer system worked. Like it was for the government on an airplane called the C-130, and every single thing of behavior was identified, and like you, every little thing that machine did was in English, written in a contractual way that like somebody could sue somebody else if that doesn't happen because it was in English words. And a lot of the developers would come to me. They wrote Ada code, and they would come to me and they'd say, this isn't at all how it works under the in the code. It doesn't work like this at all. And it was like, yeah, well, no one cares how it works under the code, how it works in the code. What they care about is, can they take this to a judge and say, this airplane was supposed to do this, and these English words, and it doesn't do these English words. That's all that was about. And now with these frameworks, we're getting closer and closer to that again. Like we're moving to the point where, like this, like it's fairly easy to say in English. It says that anything in here, if there's a signal, then and that's published, then do this. And there really is not a whole lot of relationship. I don't know for sure this. Actually, I'm speaking out of school here, but like there probably is no real relationship between like this and then the JavaScript that is generated and minified and all that behind the scenes that makes that happen. Who knows? There's just no telling what, like they could be using promises. They could have some kind of set timeout that runs every hundredth of a second. I mean, there's just no telling what they did. And it doesn't even matter. What matters is that we have a way of expressing what we want the computer to do. And then, and that's not even such a crazy thing, because if you think about it, the JavaScript that gets minified and all that behind the scene, that doesn't look anything like the zeros and one bytecode that, or it's not by the, I can't remember what the name of the code is, but there's code that talks directly to the V8 or the JavaScript engine, like that's totally different. And then that code is totally different than the code that is given to the CPU, the zeros and one machine language, and registers getting pushed and pulled and stuff like that. It's not even at all related to how that all works. So, like, anyways, you got to keep that in mind, that like this is just how we do this in this version of Angular at this time, and it's likely to change. Um, and that's that. But anyways, yeah. So I think that just to sum up, the what we actually did in this is we moved this um, um, handling, this recognition handling, event handling out of the record button. Um, and I think that was a good move. I think the next thing to do is probably to set up the logs component. Um, and the logs component will literally just be listening for events. So it's going to be listening for this audio end event, audio start event, and this result event. And it's going to list at first, just probably do the count. And then hopefully maybe we can figure out how to put that up here so that as events are created, and then maybe when we click here, we can actually see the list, and then maybe add filtering to that list, and being able to clear the list so that we can start all over again. Um, and then I think there are um, more events hooks to hook into. So then maybe we can add some of those things. I don't know. Yeah, see, our results are any, so we'll definitely want to add some sort of structure around this so that when we, build up our tables over here, we'll be able to see things in a good way. Um, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff to do. Um, I think that would be maybe the next start is just maybe get this working, and then probably it'd be useful to do the API one because all the API one is going to be is um, just basically list out what all the hooks are and what all the um, uh, like things you can do are, what all the methods are that you can do. So all the events that you can listen to and all the methods that you can do, um, like and properties that you can set. I guess those are the three things, like so this is a method that you could do. So basically, I guess we'll have like a list of what we expect to be there and what is there, and maybe a list of what's there that we weren't expecting and what is not there that we were expecting. Because really, the whole point of this application is in the future when we build an actual working application and then it breaks because there's a future version that comes out, we can come back here and look at what we expected and what's there, and maybe watch an old video of what was happening before, and what logs were firing before everything broke. Because trying to debug things when the API changes is tricky. Anyways, yeah, so this is 28-minute video. I think, I don't know. I know that sort of the people that push the like buttons, and stuff like that, tend to are more likely to push the like button um, if for longer videos. So yeah, whatever I'm doing in these longer videos, at least the vocal people like. If you like the shorter videos, you might want to push the buttons on the shorter videos that are a little bit more succinct. If you and this is something I'm learning um, because I'm making the videos. Like, so from where I'm standing, I'm making videos for the most part so I can learn. But I do want to make videos that are useful and valuable to anyone who's watching these videos. And um, it's actually almost impossible for me on this side to know if somebody what people like or don't like, and then and it's especially hard because like most people are fairly quiet, so like they won't put a like I could. And well, one thing that's weird is I can't really tell if you thumbs down it other than like a ratio. Um, so like for me, the way thumbs down is promoted is like, so for the most part, it shows nothing. Like the vast majority of my videos don't have a value, but if someone thumbs down, then it'll say 0 likes. That's all I see. But let's say one person thumbs up and one person thumbs down, then it'll say 50% likes, and then it'll say 1 like. So then I can kind of, with math, figure out, okay, one person disliked it. But like, let's say, and this has never happened before, but let's say 10 people down gave me a thumbs down and one person gave me a thumbs up, then it would say 10% likes. Um, so I can kind of tell like what people like. I could tell if people thumb downed it just because, it'll say 0 likes, 0% likes, um, as a, other than shows nothing. But so, but like I won't, there's no real good way in the way things are for me to know if I make a video that like you liked, unless you pushed that you liked it. And then the people who do push, for the most part, who push liked, have a different personality than like the majority of people, because like if 30 people watch a video, only one person is is likely to push the button either direction. If 100 people watch a video, it's still like only one person is likely to push the button in either direction. So like, if you the people that push the button, like, they like longer videos, you know, and that's the only feedback I'm getting. I do notice that like I'm going to get a lot more views and a lot more likely to get a down push if I like talk on something that's like way outside of coding, right? So like if I talk about some, I don't know, raising pets or something like that, some sort of life kind of thing. I would imagine if I talked about some sort of politics or something, it would probably be a lot more views. But I'm also more likely to get a down vote. I'll get more views and a down vote. I don't know what that means. If you get more views, because quite honestly, we don't really control what we get to see. That is completely controlled by Google. They decide who they're going to show and what content they're going to show, and who knows how they make that decision. I mean, I don't have even the vaguest idea. But anyways, all of that just to let you know that if I do a style that you like, and let's say it's shorter or longer or more succinct or more just all about code or less about code or more just about philosophical ideas or whatever, if I do a video that you like, it's probably the only way I'll know that is if you push the like button. And if I do a video that you don't like and you push the down button, I will not get a whole lot of information about that. So pushing the down button doesn't really communicate that much information, unfortunately. And then on top of that, there's just no way to even know what you don't like about it. So anyways, yeah, so I have been like less disciplined about keeping the video short, because I personally like short videos to get to. There was a point in my life where when I was a heavy user of Google, of YouTube, that I would not watch a video if it was longer than three to 5 minutes. I mean, if it was less than 3 minutes, I wasn't watching it. If it was longer than 5 minutes, I wasn't watching it. I would only watch them because those were the only videos that were like that just told you what you needed to know. And honestly, I can make videos that are 3 to 5 minutes long, but I can't live code in a video and make it 3 to 5 minutes long. So like I could have written all this code quietly, and then gone back and done a diff and then just gone over what the changes are, and that could be done in like 3 minutes and all that. But honestly, I just did not find many people I mean, I actually didn't learn much from that. I would find that like when I'm doing it in real time and typing in stuff, I learn a lot that way. But if I don't type it in real time, if I just do it ahead of time, like I really don't remember exactly what I was doing at that time. It's like your brain is in just a completely different mode. So I started doing it where I talk and then the video and I live code and the videos got longer, but I learned a lot more and all that. And actually the views and subscriptions started going way up after I started doing that a lot faster. So I don't know. I don't know. Definitely operating in the dark here. I'm definitely learning a lot, so it's a good thing, and the point is there. Um, and then I guess maybe these videos may like you know I don't know if they're gonna help or hurt like in the future if I'm looking for a job or whatever. There's just no telling if that's gonna help or hurt. I think it has a lot more to do with like the client's need than it does with whether um, whether you made videos on YouTube or not. Like if they desperately need whatever it is you can bring to the table, then they're going to use all your YouTube videos as like confirmation. Oh yeah, no, this guy's great. Look at all the videos he made. If they don't really need, like if there's no real need there for you, if they're just trying to, I don't know, fill in. Like sometimes organizations are just trying to get a body count. They don't really care about actually getting things done. If if that's the case, then yeah, no, the videos will probably hurt, because then somebody could comb through the videos if they're advocating for somebody else, like if they're trying to get their nephew in, and somebody says, "Oh man, I think this guy could really bring a lot to the table," and then like somebody could comb through all these videos and find some point where I didn't do something or I look stupid or I don't whatever, some kind of thing, and then they could present that and then they could prevent me from getting the job. But like, did I really want that job? I mean, at this point in my career, at this point in my current situation, did I really want a job that where they didn't really actually have a need for what I do? And I'm just going to go there and just waste my time and waste their time. And I mean, you earn a check, but like, I don't know. I need some fulfillment in my work. So I don't really need fulfillment in my work, but I really like to have fulfillment in my work. Um, so, anyways, yeah. So that was rambling. If you hate that, if you hate the rambling, and you don't want the rambling to happen anymore, if it drives you nuts, and you've gotten to this point, you know, don't dislike it, and find one of the shorter videos and like it. That's the only way you're gonna get that communicated to me. Anyways, the dogs are communicating to me that someone's at the door. So happy coding and bye.